Dr. Margaret Mead was born on December 16, 1901 in the city of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in the United States of America. Her parents were a University of Pennsylvania economist and a feminist political activist. In Mead's educated years, she had also studied economics like her father and became a feminist like her mother.
After high school, Mead began her post-secondary school education at DePauw University at her father's wishes. For her sophomore year, she transferred to Barnard College to study sociology as her undergrad and received her Bachelor of Arts in the class of 1923. Then, Mead received a PhD in anthropology from Columbia University.
At Barnard University, Mead met Dr. Franz Boas, who was the head of the Anthropology Department at Columbia. As head of the Anthropology Department, Boas's position influenced Mead's work greatly. During her time at Barnard, she studied under Dr. Ruth Benedict, who convinced Mead to stay at Columbia to finish her studies at a graduate level.
She wrote several books about her findings in her fieldwork, such as Coming of Age in Samoa, Growing Up in New Guinea, and her autobiography Blackberry Winter. In between her fieldwork research, she became an assistant curator of ethnology at the American Museum of Natural History in 1926, an associate curator in 1942, and a full-fledged curator in 1961.
At the American Museum of Natural History, Mead met Dr. Harry Shapiro, chair of the Department of Anthropology at the museum, who she worked with since she began at the museum.
As for her more personal life, she was married 3 times, to Luther Christman from 1923 to 1928, Real Fortune until 1935, and finally Gregory Bateson in 1936. All were anthropologists. In 1939, Mead and Bateson had their first daughter together, Mary Catherine Bateson, also an anthropologist now. Unfortunately, they also eventually divorced in 1950.
Beginning in 1925, Mead began her fieldwork starting in Polynesia, a sub-region of Oceania in central and southern part of the Pacific Ocean, made up of 1,000 scattered islands. From 1925 to the day of her death, she had never stopped working because she never retired. Quote, "Sooner or later, I'm going to die, but I'm not going to retire." Margaret Mead.
Mead had studied cultural anthropology, a branch of social anthropology where she studied the variations of humans and their behavior in different cultural societies. For example, Mead studied the development of a child from the Manus culture and the behavior of adolescents in the Samoan culture.
Aside from culture, she began the Urban Anthropology Department at New York University, also known as NYU. Urban anthropology covers the issues such as poverty and urbanization. At one time, Mead was also the president of the Society for Applied Anthropology.
Most of Mead's research was done through fieldwork. She had made 14 trips traveling to mostly the Southern Pacific and Bali. From her experiences, she was able to write over 30 books containing her findings and theories, such as Coming of Age in Samoa, as mentioned before.
Mead mainly focused on gender roles in different cultures and societies compared to the average American society. Through observing the specific cultures, Arapesh, Mendugmore, and the Chambali, she found that each of their society had displayed very different roles in terms of gender.
In one culture, both sexes were seen as equals, being cooperative. In another, they were constantly competing ruthlessly and aggressively. And finally, in Thambuli, Mead found them opposite of the American culture, where the women were the dominant gender. From these discoveries, she found that human nature is malleable. In Thambuli, she saw that fathers are biological necessities, but social accidents, illustrated in the female dominance of the society.
As for nature versus nurture, she believed that through nurture, behavior and personality can be developed. Therefore, it is influence that creates a person, not biological reasons. Her data made her one of the most influential anthropologists of her time.
Mead's books and research became very important and influential to cultural anthropology. Her method of research became more common than studying human cultures.
To study human development and behavior in a different way, Mead became the first anthropologist to use cross-cultural research, where data from different societies are used to examine culture. Thanks to Dr. Mead, her everlasting studies have made anthropology more available to a larger audience.
Mead's theories helped society to see women's rights in a new way, as they can also be the alphas shown in the Thambuli culture. Race issues also became less of a problem because cultural equity became more of a norm. Children's lives were based on how they were nurtured by any adults that were important in their lives, such as parents or teachers.
Although there were many improvements to society as well as anthropology from her research, her choice to do field work was based on her theories on observations rather than statistics. This led to Derek Freeman's claim that her theories did not accurately reflect the Samoan lifestyle because her observations were different from his own, which means Mead's theories could be false.
In 1974, Mead became the first ever president of the American Association for Advancement of Science. Not to mention, she is a woman in the American society.
On November 15, 1978, Dr. Margaret Mead died in a New York City hospital after battling pancreatic cancer for a year. She died at the age of 76.